Hello.
Hello. Good points, Sophie. We will add it to the any other business points or could add it to the agenda of next week. Um, Whatever you prefer. Because today we have a lot of topics, so I do not know if we will come to those. Um, oh, hi, Diane. Great to see you.
Good to be back.
Awesome.
Good morning.
Good morning. So let me wake up everybody.
Did you get out of FOSDEM without the FOSDEM flu?
Unbelievable. I cannot believe it. Three events and a winter storm, and I'm not in.
I,
I don't know what I,
bravo, bravo, well done.
yeah, I have no clue.
Must be the higher enthusiasm because I'm not sick either, but my husband is really sick.
Ah, are you back home too, Sophie?
Yeah, yeah. Back to gray, constant gray and rain.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. It's the same here in British Columbia too, so we'll wait for spring.
But now it doesn't feel so cold. Now I'm going out in just a jumper or a t-shirt, getting used to the minus 15 in New York or something.
That was crazy. So let me share the agenda for today. Oh, that is like the full screen. I wanted to share only. Now it's working. That one. So we have a lot of topic on the agenda today, and even now at the start of the meeting, new topics came in. And while we wait for others to join, Sophie, I will take yours already to any other business so that in worst case, if we do not come to it, we can talk about it next week. Training and new committer materials is not only for Python SDK, it's a generic topic, right?
Yeah, I think that's something that's going to become increasingly more important.
Perfect. Good. Okay, so welcome to the TSC meeting of the Hiero project. Like any meeting we do at Hiero. This is a public meeting, which means everybody is invited to join us in this meeting. You can find information about the TSC meeting and any other meeting we do at Hiero at our public calendar, where you can get by an iCall and then just subscribe to it, or you could even go to individual meetings and register to it so that it will automatically be added to your calendar so that you do not miss any of our Hiero meetings. We have several others next to the TSC, like afterwards we have the marketing community meeting, but we have meetings for like the SDK, for specific SDKs, like here's a Hiero, the Python SDK, we have a general community call and so on. And if you miss a call, you can always check on a previous meeting and get an overview about that meeting by checking the recording or checking an AI-based service unavailable. So normally you would see an AI-based overview minutes of that meeting. Maybe it's just don't work. Anyway, but since we do all those meetings in the public and would like to hear all of you with feedback, questions, and so on, those meetings happen under the Code of Conduct of the Linux Foundation and the antitrust policy. So if you want to contribute to those meetings, if you want to bring up a topic, join a discussion, feel free to do so, but please do it always in a friendly manner. Okay, and that brings us to the topics for today. So with the beginning of this year, we decided to not approve the agendas of the previous meetings, always in the meeting. Instead of that, I try to give an overview of the last TSC call. And in the last TSC call, we had a new proposal that is from DSR, and I'm happy to see Alexander and Renata here again in the meeting, which is a project that brings a vanilla version of this, I would say, like full stack did application experience from a wallet up to a server to a Hiero in an unbranded and vanilla way that enables you and allows you to add did functionality based on a Hiero network to any application. One thing that was still open was the name of that has been discussed in the last meeting. And let's see if somebody came up with a good and concrete name for it. Otherwise, the idea is to do a TSC vote today on it if we have quorum. And another thing we discussed in the last meeting was if we want, instead of having in did and the SDKs, multiple maintainer and committer groups saying, hey, for the did space, we have one group of maintainers, one group of committers, and those are the maintainers or committers of the did project containing all the individual reports, repositories. And if we want to be more fine-grained, we can use GitHub code ownership and doing the same for the SDKs, which would help us when talking, for example, about the SDKs, not to create like silos. Oh, here we have the people from the Python SDK, here you have the people from the Java SDK, but say like, oh, you're all maintainers of the SDKs, even if you technically mostly just contribute to one. It's your goal to move the SDKs forward, to discuss about proposals, how they could be implemented in the SDKs and so on, which I think was a very good discussion. So that's the overview of the last TSC. I hope that contains mostly everything that we covered last week. And with that, we come to the question if anybody of you would like to give any updates or information about upcoming events from the community or any members, any news. about how you would like to share. So if somebody here in the audience wants to do so, please do hands up. Okay, looks like, oh, Jake, hey.
Yeah. There's so we're actually running I briefly mentioned it to you, Hendrik. We're running a blockchain and open source event in South Africa, Cape Town, on, I think it's been currently moved to the 14th of February. But the idea is just to talk about the Linux Foundation Decentralized Trust, of course, double clicking on Hiero, because the best project, and yeah, trying to call people to sort of commit to it, and also take part in our hackathon, where of course we have a Hiero bounty, Hiero problem statement. So yeah, just wanted to share that one.
Is that just a question from me? Is that then about the Hiero CLI, the bounty, or how is it defined where the bounty can be used for?
Yeah, so we've got a couple hackathons in February, right? For one of them, it's going to be focused on the Hiero CLI, which actually, for those of you who've seen OpenClaw, the new AI agent that has all of these crazy powers to interact with your computer, I think that's quite well timed because OpenClaw is really compatible with CLI tools. So I'm going to try and see if there's anything we can do to see the collaboration of this cool new AI tech with CLI tools like the Hiero CLI. That's going to be one focus at our ETH Denver bounty, ETH Denver hackathon. The other hackathon we're running, which is $250,000 of prizes, that one we still need to define our Hiero bounty, but we've got $13,000 allocated to it. So I think we can chat about. Diane mentioned today directly after this call engagement. Yeah, I'll bring it up there to get some more community insights in terms of what we could do for that bounty. There's still a bit of stuff up in the air for that.
Yeah, that sounds great. Cool. Thanks for that update, Jake. I've seen somebody else did hands up together with Jake. Who was that? Or
Oh no, it was much smaller. Every week we host a space called HOLXAI. We usually get 300 plus listeners on that. And this week we will be doing a pitch competition. There's $100 that folks can win from that pitch comp. And we are going to make it themed around open clause / multiple. So if anyone wants to come by, or if you have startups you want to recommend to pitch, it's a really great way to get inbound from both sides.
cool. Thank you. I have another update. So since some of us has been at the maintainer days last week, where the original plan was that the content there got not streamed or filmed or whatever, Jessica and I did a small underground project, and we had a camera with us and a microphone, and we recorded most of the sessions happened there, and already looked at it. The quality is very, very good, and I don't know when it goes online. I hope in really near future, like later this month. But we have a lot of good sessions about the mentorship in the Linux Foundation, the mentorship program, and how Fabric, which is another project in LFX, used it. We have an awesome presentation from Sophie about the good first issues in the Python SDK and several other topics. Andrew gave an introduction on Hiero topics too. So several videos about Hiero that will be published to YouTube in near future, which I think is quite nice. Okay, with that, just a friendly reminder to join our other community calls if you are interested in Hiero. And if you have not done it, you should for sure create an account in our Discord channel because that is the place to be if you want to talk about Hiero for sure. Um, so the next item, I already talked about it, right, is the news from LFDT maintainer days. We have some people here in the meeting with Michael Cantor, with Sophie, with Jessica, who attended the maintainer days, and I think it was a very good event from my point of view. Some great technical topics. My highlights have really been the topics about the LF mentorship and about good first issues, because those two topics showed me how important it is to have this event, because that have been the topics where the projects like Bizu and Hiero and Fabric and so on, we came together, started to discuss ideas and so on. But I see Michael has his camera on, so I would like to, yeah, everybody else who was at that event maybe say something about it, because I don't want to do all of that alone.
Yeah, no, it was such a good event. Generally with these conferences, I get nervous with the panels and sessions. I don't feel like I'm getting a lot of information and that's valuable. But the entire event, top to bottom, was really incredible. I learned a lot around, the LFDT ecosystem for one, like the program for mentorship. I think there's so much good information. But also the panels that they put on, like we had folks come in from the privacy space, talked about ZK proofs. It was very, very learning conducive. Like you came out learning quite a bit there. The session that Hendrik actually did around Hiero was also pretty incredible. And Sophie moderated a session with folks from Cardano, Ethereum, and I think not the Near ecosystem, but the Stellar ecosystem. That was also incredible. So a big round of applause for everyone who came out and attended. I had a good time.
Thank you. Jessica.
Hey, I just wanted to say that I wanted to thank everybody who attended either our maintainer days and our member summit. I know that for maintainer days, we had a little bit of a delay due to the weather, but I want to give a special shout out also to Andrew, because he did a session which was, I think, a first of a kind, where he grouped different people from different projects to brainstorm ideas, which I thought it was definitely a good session for getting everybody started to know everybody and to interact with everybody and hear different point of views. So definitely a shout out to Andrew for that. Also, both Sophie and Hendrik did amazing. You're gonna see their presentations in member summits, and it got a lot of positive feedback. And I just wanted to say, for anybody who attended and have feedback that you want to pass to the LFDT, please let me know and I can get your message there. But yeah, we're looking for feedback overall, and anything that you want to see different, anything that you want to change, etc. So definitely let me know.
Perfect. Thank you, Jessica. Okay, so let's move forward to the next point of the agenda, which is, so I just put it here. We have some votings going on regarding nomination of new committers or of new maintainers. So if you're part of the maintainers of any of those groups, this is just a friendly reminder that you need to vote on that. Okay, that is all I wanted to say here. The next topic I would like to talk about are the hips. And as you can see, we have several hips that are on the last call and review state at the moment. And I see Mark is here and others, and I've already put it to the agenda that we have two hips that are ready for presentation to the TSC. If I understood it correctly, so Mark, what's the state here and who will do a presentation?
Yeah, sure. So for the first one, HIP 1137, that will be Joseph. And for the second one, HIP 1357, that'll be Nana. So I'll just give the mic over to those guys.
Okay, perfect. So Joseph, should I stop sharing and you share your screen to give an overview?
Um, no, it's fine if you go ahead, continue sharing. If you can open
Okay,
up
then
the
let
HIP, that would be
me
great.
then yeah. Let me open that hip. Doop, 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 doop. Oh, I should have linked it. Here it is.
Uh, yeah, the PR won't help you. You have to go to the actual HIP site.
Oh, yeah, it's merged. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So let me.
There we are. Okay, so HIP 1137 envisions a new. So, sorry, let me back up. The impetus for this HIP is that at the moment, while it's very easy to find consensus nodes on chain, it is impossible to find every other type of node or service provided by the network on chain. So, for instance, if you want to know where mirror nodes are, you just have to know. If you want to know where relay nodes are, you just have to know. There's nothing on chain that will tell you where those are. So, what we envision is a node registry. This is very specifically not for consensus nodes at the moment, it's just for everything else. And it provides us a place where on chain, anyone who needs to can find registered nodes. These registered nodes expose endpoints and they expose a type. And in the future may expose a bit more information, but for now we're keeping it as simple as possible. Just enough information that you can go to the data on chain, find, say, a block node that you wish to connect to, and initiate your connection and begin doing whatever you need to do there. We expect, well, we expect that different implementations of Hiero make slightly different choices in some areas, and we've tried to call those out in the appropriate locations. That's it. It's fairly simple. It just goes through and adds a few new transactions if you scroll down a bit. Um, you just passed them. There you go. You can create a registered node, you can delete a registered node, and of course you can update a registered node. The information for these is fairly simple. You have an endpoint. We have a slight update we need to make to the endpoint to expand what's in there. If you scroll down a bit, you'll see that. It's a registered service endpoint. It has an IP address, domain or domain name, and a port, and whether it requires TLS. Yes, we're finally being explicit as to whether or not endpoints require TLS. And then when you go to create, every node has an admin key, which is the key of a key held by whomever controls that particular node. There's a node type, description, and of course, one or more endpoints. Michael Cantor, you have a question?
Yeah.
Yeah, like number one's a really cool hip. Number two, how will you discover nodes? Maybe I'm putting, I guess I didn't really let you finish. I wasn't expecting to jump in before you got to finish the overview, but will there be an endpoint that people can hit to find the nodes?
Yes, we anticipate adding a mirror node endpoint where you can query this information. Of course, the information will be available via block nodes once those are available as well.
Cool.
I can continue. That's really it. At the moment, we've envisioned, if you scroll down just a little bit, We expect to have block nodes, mirror nodes, and RPC relays. We expect this will expand over time. And I'll note again that the structure of this will change slightly, the detail structure of the protobufs. And really that's it, other than some details. Any
Okay,
questions?
thank you, Joseph. Michael.
Michael Cantor.
Yeah, one idea too was just thinking about if it makes sense to create a whole new service for something like this. Only because we found a lot of success in using the Hiero consensus service for registries in general. And there's a couple of specifications that we've created, like HCS2 for managing specifications. Of course, the main burden with that is you have to securely manage the submit key to the topic. So that is maybe one of the main reasons why you want to consider having it native to network. But the benefit is you wouldn't have to create a new service for something like this. I was wondering if that's something that you guys looked into.
It's not written in the HIP, but I did actually consider whether HCS could do this. The problem there is that there are use cases where we need to find these items in state, and HCS data is not stored in state.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
Any other questions? If not, I'll turn it over to Nana for HIP 1357.
Okay, no other questions. Thank you, Joseph, for the presentation. And Nana, do you want to share? Should I share? What do you prefer?
Usually I have something to share, but this one's a really short one, so you can just actually, yeah, you already stopped, so let me share. It's fine. Very short, and the nice thing is Joseph has teed up everything for me. Can you guys see 1357?
Yes.
Okay. So I was going to give a lot of context, but I see you have a packed schedule, so I'll keep it very short. The essential thing is that 1137 gave a way for you to find these new node types. So block node would be one of those. So we know that block nodes are coming soon. With block nodes, there's a tier one and there's a tier two. Tier ones will most likely be run by council members, and those will receive block streams from consensus nodes. These have to be highly available, very performant. And so this is going to be a lot of work on sort of node operators, right? It costs money. And just like the consensus node costs money to operate, we want to make sure that there's an on-chain way to reward node operators that provide this service to the network. Block nodes will be integral to the network. Basically, if a consensus node cannot push blocks out to block nodes, they will stop receiving transactions. So it's very important that these block nodes be up. And so the operators are performing a very important service. So as part of that service and the trust factor, we want to make sure that there's on-chain rewards going to them, just like there are today for consensus nodes. So this HIP is really just saying 1137 gives you a way to find those. And what we're saying is build upon the existing node rewards today. So every night consensus nodes get rewards for operating, right? So during that process, once you've identified an eligible consensus node, we're saying check that consensus node's details. If it has any registered block nodes, then also give it additional block node rewards. So that's the simplicity of 1357. We're just suggesting one extra config, which will capture the amount of cost that the block node takes. It will be on the consensus node. And it just uses the same sort of calculation that consensus nodes use today to reward themselves. And it's just a different value for block nodes. So this would be an additional reward on top of consensus node rewards as that process happens every midnight. Alex, go ahead. Oh, I know you were really waiting for this one, so many a time.
Yeah. Hey, I definitely appreciate you explaining this. One of the things I trying to understand is there any sort of priority between block node rewards and consensus node rewards? So if there's not sufficient to meet the target threshold for, say, a consensus node reward, does that take precedence, or is this equally weighted in terms of the distribution between consensus nodes and block nodes?
Good question. Consensus node rewards will take priority. So basically, block node rewards will only be eligible to consensus node operators that are eligible for consensus node rewards. So it's on top of. So you have to be, said another way, an operator has to be running an eligible consensus node. And if they're about to receive consensus node rewards, the logic will also check, are they running any tier one block nodes, and then add that on top. If you're not eligible for consensus node rewards, you wouldn't be eligible for block node rewards at tier one.
Yeah, thanks for that clarification. I guess that's maybe even configurable depending on the network this is operating on, because in some cases that might not be a restriction. But what I was more referring to was if you have X amount of consensus nodes and you have node rewards, and say you don't have sufficient balances to cover the target for the consensus node rewards, will that affect the block node rewards? Or is there any relationship between, will say a consensus node operator who's not operating a block node, get the full amount, or will they get deprecated because of the fact that others are running block nodes and they're consuming some of the balances out of that combined reward account? So see if there's 10 consensus nodes and you have your target is 1 H bar per day, however it's configured. I know ours isn't, in Hedera it's not, but 1 H bar per day, and you only have 9 H bar in there. How does that affect? Does it affect the block nodes in the same way it affects consensus node rewards, or is there a distinction?
Gotcha. If I understand your question correctly, that should never happen, assuming the account 0.0.801 is fully, not fully, but sufficiently, it has sufficient balance. So in this case, I believe each network, for example, Hedera, will make sure that that account has sufficient balance. So consensus node rewards should not be impacted by this. That account must have sufficient balance.
Well, it like in Hedera today, if every consensus node operator were currently receiving rewards, we'd be in a deficit situation because there's not enough revenue to even cover the rewards for consensus nodes, let alone block nodes. And so with that additional pressure from the block nodes, will consensus node operators, will they get the first bite at the apple, or it's like doesn't matter? We're paying out consensus nodes and block nodes in the same priority.
Yeah, that's a good question. I say let me go think on that and make sure. I will say this question is interesting to me because it begins to highlight the Hiero versus Hedera parts.
Yeah.
This is like the specification of how it's done. I think what you're highlighting comes to the operational aspects of it, like Hedera or someone else. Have they sufficiently made 801's balance enough? But let me
or configurability that, like I know in the HIP, it speaks to that it was explored of having separate block node and consensus node rewards, but that was, I think, deferred in the current version. In the case, it would be all out of 801. So because it's all out of one, you have to even have logic determining distribution versus relying on account balances of distinct accounts to set that.
Yeah, I hear your question because let me give an example, maybe that make sure that I'm hearing you. In one scenario, if there was a prioritization, we could say that, hey, there's insufficient balance, but we will make sure that consensus nodes are rewarded, but maybe not all block node rewards went out.
Or at some discounted value, right? Yes,
okay,
exactly.
Yeah, okay. All right, yeah. Let me. I think, kind of to what I was saying before, I think that becomes a policy item for the given network. But you are right. Maybe there's some configurations that we can explore. But again, I think even with those configurations, it would be on the deploying network like Hedera to decide what their policy is here.
Oh, of course. No. Of course. It was just to provide that flexibility in the situation that we've got too many block nodes, but we're still incentivizing them at the same rate. And we need to make sure that the consensus nodes are incentivize first because, if we have too many block nodes per consensus node, because we could operate, say, at a 4-to-1 or 5-to-1 ratio, on capacity basis, having a 1-to-1 might be overkill, and why incentivize up to a 1-to-1?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay,
Yeah. Okay.
I'll take a look there. I think that's a good one to explore. So I could circle back.
All right. Thanks, Anna.
All right, Keith.
Yeah, just maybe also in the Hiero context, I mean, anyone can run a block node. So how do you tell that a consensus, like someone who's running a consensus node is also running a block node? Like what's the connection between, I mean, it's the same organization is running both, but how does the network know that the same organization is running both a
Yeah, good
consensus node
question.
and a block node?
Yeah, good question. I mentioned, but I didn't talk about the actual field maybe. So from HIP 1137, each node now has an additional property called associated registered nodes. So the consensus node operator will be able to update their node in state to say that I have an associated registered node of a block node type that is represented in a tier one block node. So then the platform itself will be able to recognize during the node rewards calculation that this consensus node has an associated one. And so it wouldn't pick up, my registered node or your registered node. It would have to be for that operator to register theirs. Right.
Perfect, thanks.
No worries. Any other questions? All right. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, thanks, Nana, for the overview. So like we do for HIPs, we will come next week then to the voting, or do an asynchronous voting if not enough TSC member are in the meeting. Is that fine, Mark? Or is there something with high priority here?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
People could have time to read it, and then we'll come back.
Yeah. Then I will put it to the agenda of next week again for a final voting. Nana, you have hands up. Is that
Yes. Selfishly,
yeah.
I would say, next week is fine. But I will ask that people dig into it. This is very impactful to the network, as we mentioned. At least on the Hedera side, we're looking to get block nodes out this year. This impacts the whole strategy and everything. And so I know Alex has been waiting for this for a long time. Others have as well. So bringing that clarity to the community is very important. So I appreciate eyes on this. Thank you very much.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. So let me share the agenda again. And the next topic we have on the agenda is, let me see. Oh, voting on project proposal, Hiero Identity Platform. So we got the presentation last week from Alexander and Renata. And first of all, are there from any TSC member any additional questions on the Hiero Identity Platform project proposal? Or from anybody else, for sure. Don't need to be a TSC member. Okay, great, which means we could vote on it. I assume we are today, maybe don't have Chrome. Let me check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. With 5, we don't have Chrome. Or if I missed somebody. Oh, I missed Alex. 6 is, let me think about 6 is enough, right? So we could vote on it, but last time we had the discussions about that having it called Hiero Identity Platform might not be a good idea because others could come and so on. And Alexander, I've seen you added some name suggestions there. I put mine into it too. So I would say it's absolutely not the TSC who votes on the name of that project. So that should come from the maintainers, which is in that moment, I assume like Alexander, maybe Keith, I don't know who. Yeah, and Renata. So how do you want to proceed here? The easiest suggestion is you come up with a name, and then I can set up an asynchronous voting on that one so that in best case next week at the TSC meeting we have a name and the voting done. Oh, and I see Renata is turning on camera. Hey!
Hello. So thank you for this discussion. I think actually that there are two different questions to create the project, and absolutely another one is the name for this project.
Yeah.
I suggest maybe if it's okay to vote today for this initiative to have an identity platform with
Yeah.
examples of real projects, how it's possible to use, and sandbox. And after this, we can bring some names because I already don't like some of them actually, and have my candidates. So we can bring you for the next meeting our idea. If there are concerns and discussions, it's okay. We can make a full proposal for this and make a decision by voting. If everyone will be okay and like this name, so why don't we need to spend time of this respectful people?
Makes totally sense to me. I would add that for sure TSC can like if you come up with a name, let's assume you call it the DSR DIT platform, then TSC could say no, that's not the name we will do, right? That is the only thing I would like to add, that the TSC can how to say, like be against that name. But I don't see a problem here, and I assume if we take care of that, we can vote today on the general thing, and you can, once you have a name, inform the TSC about that name. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank
sounds
you.
good for me as well. Thanks.
Perfect. Good. Yeah,
And
I
feel
like
free to
move it
propose
forward.
options. Yeah.
Excuse me?
Feel free to propose an options. I
Okay,
think it's
perfect.
interesting. So I have
everybody
my
who-
favorites and so on.
Yeah. So everybody who has good name ideas for unbranded vanilla tooling to create DIT proofs in any application, go here and drop naming ideas. Maybe your name will be the next awesome Hiero project then. But with that, if there are no other questions, I would be fine to start a voting on this proposal in the TSC. So let's see, any questions? Okay. So with that, let's do a TSC vote on it, and I start with Stoyan.
Yeah, I vote yes.
Georgie,
I vote yes.
Brandon,
I vote yes.
Milan,
Yes.
Alex.
Yes.
Oh, Michael is gone. But it's still me.
he
I
voted
vote yes. Yeah, but Michael is not here anymore. I vote yes too.
Michael
which-
said yes in the chat.
Perfect. Then we have even 7 yes. So congratulations. We have a new cool Hiero project that will hopefully in future make it more easy to create applications with, like DIT integration and personal proof and so on, which is really nice. Thanks for bringing that to Hiero. I appreciate that a lot. And I can't wait to see the name of that one.
Thank you.
Okay. So the next topic is the HCS integration in HIP repository. And I think with Michael not being here anymore and the other Michael who's leading the HIP process is not here too, it don't make much sense to start a discussion on this topic. But I mean, we discussed that already in several TSCs, and what I can say is that I sat together last week with Michael Cantor and had a lot of, well, had discussions with him about that, and we came to a, from our point of view, quite good conclusion how we can get the standards on top of the Hiero consensus service integrated in HIP so that it fits for everybody. But I will suggest then to move that to the next meeting where the people who are concerned about that and who have stakes into that topic are present on the meeting. Which means the next one is merging language-specific SDK maintainers and committer groups to run and handle access by code owners file. And I would say it's not only SDK, we should or could do from my point of view the same with everything belongs to DID, which means instead of having small groups of maintainers and committers that are more and more by repo, we had the suggestion to say, okay, let's create one maintainer group for all SDKs, one committer group for all SDKs, and do the same for DID, like have one maintainer group for DID specific projects, one maintainer group for a committer group for DID specific projects. And if you have concerns that maybe somebody working only on the JavaScript SDK could review code from the Rust SDK, we can use code owner files in GitHub to be more strict on that topic. Same for DID for sure, but that would allow us to have like groups that really care about topics instead of taking care about one repository. And we started the discussion about DID last time, and then Keith brought in the, from my point of view, great suggestion. What about SDK? Shouldn't we do it here too? And since we stopped that discussion, I wanted to bring it up and see what are your thoughts about it. Last week, we already discussed it with several stakeholders and maintainers of the SDKs, and in general, they like the idea. Here in this meeting, we have several people coming from the DID space, would like to hear what you think about it, because maybe if nobody disagrees on that idea, we can move that forward and create those bigger maintainer groups. Any comments, thoughts on that topic?
Hendrik, just to try and understand this, I think I really like the idea of having like cross committers and maintainers. At least like with the C++ SDK, the Swift SDK, we've kind of been helping each other out, like when one of us is sleeping and things like that. And it's been a really nice rest in some ways, and kind of gets different perspectives, and we're sharing more of like the best practices that we've learned in each one. So I really like that kind of style of working. But I was just thinking, will that also, oh yeah, and Rob I see has his thumbs up. So Rob is the maintainer of the Swift and the C++ SDK. My question is, what will that involve changing anything else? Is it just going to be like the committee groups? Are the SDKs still going to look the same, separate repos? Is there going to be any changes in that sense?
Yeah, that will, so from my point of view, absolutely stay the same, right? It's really more, I mean, we can have a look at it, right? So when I go to the Hiero Ledger org and go to Teams and just search for SDK, you will see all those teams, right? So let's take here we have the Hiero SDK C++ committers, Hiero SDK C++ maintainers, Hiero SDK Go committers, Hiero SDK Go maintainers. And what we want to do is merge every SDK maintainer group together so that we have one Hiero SDK maintainers group containing all the maintainers from the current SDKs and having one Hiero SDK committers group containing all the committers from the current SDKs. And if we want to be more strict for any SDK, for example, to say like, hey, we do only want Rust people to contribute to the Rust SDK, we can do it in a similar way as the consensus node today, for example, does, which has GitHub, where is it? Code owners. I think it's in the .github folder, right? Which has this code owners file, giving an overview about what part of the repo, what groups are, or what persons are code owners. And this enables GitHub to say like, oh, if somebody creates a pull request with anything changed under Hedera node configuration, then one of those people must approve the pull request. Otherwise, it cannot be merged. And those people now can be part of, the full maintainers group of all the SDKs. But for like the Rust SDK, if we want to, we could still do this. I mean, we could do it like this, right? With an asterisk and then say, okay, this must be reviewed by this and those groups to make any new code go into those repos. That would be the change here. So the repo should stay the same. The structure of the repos should stay the same. It's more, the idea is more that, we do not think about a project is always a repo, but think about, okay, the project are the SDKs, and that has multiple repos. Robert.
Yeah, I definitely like the idea of being able to help each other out, and I know we, Sophie and I and Angie and a couple others have definitely like gone back and forth and have approved PRs for each other in repos that we're not maintainers in. I guess my question for this would be, is the idea like to we're going to combine all these SDK specific groups into one maintainers or one committers group. Is the idea that the current maintainers will still have to approve the PRs via the code owners file now? Or I guess how, like, I'm asking because I don't necessarily know, like I don't know if I would want like the power to like approve and merge something in like the Go SDK, for example, just 'cause I'm not like familiar with that language at all. So I guess maybe I would want some more specifics about uh, I guess what power I guess is being granted, and maybe a bit more description on how these code owner files would be configured.
Yeah, we can do that. We can give a concrete, I mean, not now, right? But
Yeah.
we can prepare something like that maybe in the SDK community call as an example and have a look how it could look like for the SDK set.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I definitely like the idea of being able to like help out and approve and merge things like when Sophie said, when someone else is asleep or away or something. But yeah, I think maybe I would just want to flesh out the specifics a bit more.
Rob, can you put it on the agenda for the next SDK community call?
Yeah.
Then we can have a concrete look at it. I think that would be great. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. We still have some topics here on our list. So my question is the next one. I don't know if we get that in this time. So the question is, Sophie, regarding those three topics, is there anything where you would say, oh, that's really important, I would really like to talk about that today?
Maybe if it's okay, just like a high level overview, so just to introduce the idea. So the Python SDK, we proved we can onboard many, many new developers from all kinds of different backgrounds. Some are very experienced, some have less, less active development time. So Hiero has become like this flourishing place for all these new starters, experienced starters. And we currently have like a 6-month lead time to train committers and maintainers. So in the short term, there's a little bit of stress involved when you have to onboard all these new contributors, yet you don't have any new committers or maintainers. So I just want to get the conversation rolling of what can we do in Hiero in general to try and make this experience as smooth as possible, to support our new starters that want to train to become committers and maintainers, so that can be as easy as possible. And that's it.
So if I understood it correctly, it's like, hey, we now have, a good idea regarding good first issues, how to get new contributors. Some of those contributors wants to stay, come back and do more than, let's say, like one-time contribution. We see that, totally agree. And now the next step should be, how do we get those to become committers or later even maintainers? And what is, the steps here, and can we create some material like training material or whatever for those people to move forward? Is it that what you're asking?
Also, how can we take all of that, some of that burden off the couple of Python SDK maintainers? So I don't think that the training process, training best practices, getting in touch with the committers and things, I don't know if all of that needs to be the responsibility of the maintainers. So it's more like how can we also work together so that we kind of upskill all of our new starters in Hiero in general. I have some ideas for that. Obviously, we have beginner issues, intermediate issues, advanced issues, which are already leveling up like their coding skills. But some of like the soft tasks that we require, like for example, getting in touch with them, talking about them, learning who in this group is interested in progressing to become a committer, learning what kind of skill set they currently have. That can be really time consuming when you have 130 new contributors.
Yeah. We discussed in the past already about maybe not just having this general community call that we have on Thursdays, but maybe to have a kind of onboarding call or whatever. And because my first idea would, let's have a community call where we can get those people together, talk with them, learn more about them, and not in a like one-on-one. I know you did it, we did it to know those people, but that takes, but with 100 people or whatever, too much time. But set up community calls, and maybe we need to create one or two more to have them in different time zones to make it easier for people to attend. Like I could easily do another one in my morning. Maybe somebody from the US could do another one in their afternoon, whatever. To
I
you
think
know
that
to
would
have
be
a
a great
place where
idea.
people can come. What do you think about that?
Yeah, fantastic. They can come and they can learn things and they can express their interests, and also we can see who is more motivated as well.
So looks like we need to do like a concrete invite to our community calls. Need to make sure that at the community calls there's always somebody who can do moderation and mentorship, and then think about, should we set up more community calls? Does that sound like reasonable next steps?
I think we probably just need like junior committer calls for now, and
Yeah.
later on we can
Yeah.
add in like committer to maintainer.
Yeah. I like that idea. Having junior committer calls makes totally sense for me. I think we can discuss on Discord asynchronously like where to schedule them, because this preferred timeline of this 2 or 3 hours is getting really full now. But yeah, it makes sense to have some. I really like that idea.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. And thank you for bringing that up. Okay, we at the end of the hour. Any important topic anybody wants to bring up today? Good. Then I hope to see you on any future Hiero meeting. Like directly afterwards, we have the marketing committee. Feel yourself invited to join us at that one. And otherwise, see you at least next week at the next TSC. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Don't forget to attend the maintainers, please.
Exactly. That one too.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.